The future world of 2050 will be completely different and much less polluted. Humans will explore other planets in the solar system or space near the solar system. What is the driving force of the future world? It is energy, clean and pollution-free energy. As the world's main energy, fossil energy will withdraw from the stage of history. Renewable energy will be the main energy source in the future. Renewable energy is energy from nature, such as solar energy, wind power, ocean energy, geothermal energy, water energy, and biological energy. It is an inexhaustible energy source. In addition, as a supporting energy source for mobile vehicles, in addition to energy storage, miniaturized controllable nuclear fusion is also essential, especially for large-scale long-distance vehicles including space vehicles. The following is an introduction to the energy of the future world. According to Global Energy Review 2021, the increases in electricity generation from all renewable sources push the share of renewables in the electricity generation mix to an all-time high of 30%. This graph shows a dramatic increase in the share of wind and solar, a trend that will continue in the future. Wind and solar power generation will have a large share in the future. But different places or regions have different wind and solar power generation capabilities. Wind power is the use of wind turbines to generate electricity. Because wind energy is abundant, widely distributed, and carbon emissions are much lower than thermal power generation, it is one of the renewable energy technologies actively promoted by many countries. Today, wind energy is one of the main sources of global electricity supply. In 2020, wind power accounted for 14 to 17% of EU electricity. Its advantages include: wind power generation is a renewable energy source with less air pollution and carbon emissions, and other environmental costs are also low. Wind power generation can be distributed power generation without the risk of over-concentration of large-scale power generation facilities. However, it also has its disadvantages. For example, the ecological problem of wind power generation is that it may disturb birds. Medium and large wind turbines will make huge noise. The wind power in many areas is intermittent and so on. Overall, wind power has very good prospects. According to the IRENA report, by 2050, wind energy will become the main source of electricity generation, with installed onshore and offshore wind energy capacity exceeding 35% of total electricity demand. Solar energy refers to a kind of energy in which the light and heat radiated from the sun is used by a series of continuously developing technologies, usually using it to generate heat and electricity. The earliest and easiest to use is thermal energy, such as solar water heaters, which use the heat of sunlight to heat water. This is GemaSolar, that is a 19.9 megawatts, small-scale concentrated solar power plant, CSP, located in the city of Fuentes de Andalucía in the Seville province of Spain. The power plant first collects thermal energy and then generates electricity through technology. In addition, what we usually use now is to generate electricity through photovoltaics, also known as solar panels. A solar panel is a power generation device that generates direct current when exposed to sunlight. It is almost a combination of thin solid solar cells made of semiconductor materials. Simple photovoltaic cells can power watches and computers, and larger photovoltaic systems can light a house and power the grid. When solar panels are used in automobiles, they become solar vehicles, and when they are used in aircraft, they become solar aircraft. The main source of energy for current satellites and space stations is also from solar energy, such as the Hubble Space Telescope, current and future space stations. The advantages of solar energy include sustainability, low environmental impact and energy independence. The downside is that it is intermittent. Solar energy can take up a lot of land, cause land degradation or loss of wildlife habitat, and the production of solar technology requires rare materials and contains many of the same harmful substances as electronics. Solar energy will be more used in the future. A report released by the Biden administration in the United States shows that by 2035, 40% of the electricity in the United States is expected to come from solar energy, and by 2050, this proportion will further increase to 45%. The ocean is the body of salt water that covers approximately 70.8% of the surface of Earth and contains 97% of Earth's water, and represent a vast and largely source of energy in the form of ocean waves, tides, ocean temperature differences, and salinity gradients. In general, wave power is the capture of energy of wind waves and is distinct from tidal power. which captures the energy of the current caused by the gravitational pull of the Sun and Moon. Both can cause waves. The energy can be captured by wave energy converters, tidal turbines, and power buoy. Ocean thermal energy conversion uses the ocean thermal gradient between cooler deep and warmer shallow or surface seawaters to run a heat engine and produce useful work. The extraction of ocean temperature difference energy is suitable for regions with high temperature gradients, such as orange and red regions. There are some other powers from oceans such as osmotic power using salinity gradient and marine current power. It was estimated the 2020 global market for wave and tidal energy was $542.8 million. The World Energy Council predicts that ocean energy could meet 10% of global electricity demand in 2050. Another water-related energy source is hydroelectric power, which has been used since ancient times. Here, it is using falling or fast-flowing water to generate electricity. By 2021, global hydropower generation is estimated to be around 1.34 terawatts. Hydropower is currently the largest source of renewable electricity, generating more electricity than all other renewable technologies combined. As recognized by the IEA, by 2050, hydropower will be the primary source of flexible electricity to ensure low-carbon energy security for decades to come. Geothermal power is considered to be a sustainable, renewable source of energy. Geothermal power stations are similar to other steam turbine thermal power stations in that the terrestrial heat is used to heat water or another working fluid. The working fluid is then used to turn a turbine of a generator, thereby producing electricity. The fluid is then cooled and returned to the heat source. This is the largest geothermal power plant in Iceland. The station produces about 120 megawatts of electricity and provides about 1,800 liters of hot water per second. There are a number of other renewable energy sources that may be widely used in the future. For example, bioenergy is energy made from biomass or biofuels. The ethanol fuel in bioenergy is ethanol, the same alcohol in alcoholic beverages, that can be produced by brewing sugar-rich crops. It can be added to gasoline as an additive to make a mixed fuel. Renewable energy can be continuously regenerated, used continuously in nature, and inexhaustible. It is harmless or minimal to the environment, and the resources are widely distributed, so it is suitable for local development and utilization. However, the energy density of most renewable energy sources is relatively low, and the output is unstable and easily affected by environmental weather. These problems can be achieved through energy storage. The main method for energy storage is to use reversible electrochemical reactions to store electrical energy, which is what we often call battery storage, including lead-acid batteries, nickel metal hydride batteries, and various lithium-ion batteries, etc. There are other energy storage methods, such as pumped hydro storage, which uses electricity to pump water to the top of the mountain when electricity demand is low, and releases water to drive turbines to generate electricity when electricity demand is high. Flywheel energy storage uses electricity to accelerate flywheels to make it rotates rapidly and uses the law of conservation of energy to store the energy in the rotational kinetic energy of the object, and the stored kinetic energy can be used to generate electricity. In addition to energy storage, these problems can also be solved through grid interconnection and intelligence related to the distribution system. For the realization of space travel and space development, it is difficult for general renewable energy to meet our needs. Controllable nuclear fusion energy is an ideal clean energy in the future. Controlled nuclear fusion is commonly known as artificial sun, because the principle of the sun is nuclear fusion reaction. Nuclear fusion is a form of nuclear reaction that combines two lighter nuclei to form a heavier particle and an extremely light particle. For example, two deuterium atoms, under the conditions of ultra-high temperature and high pressure, will have nuclei polymerized with each other to generate neutrons and helium-3. According to the mass-energy equation E equals mc2, huge energy will be released. At present, humans have been able to achieve uncontrolled nuclear fusion, such as the explosion of a hydrogen bomb. Controllable nuclear fusion can also be triggered, but the input energy is greater than the output, or it occurs for a very short time. However, in order for energy to be effectively used by humans, the speed and scale of nuclear fusion must be reasonably controlled to achieve sustained and stable energy output. In May 2021, mankind has successfully achieved a repeatable plasma operation of 120 million degrees Celsius for 101 seconds and 160 million degrees Celsius for 20 seconds. A tokamak, a ring-shaped container used to hold nuclear fusion reactions, presents a special state of chaos inside. The hydrogen atoms inside are squeezed together at extremely high temperatures, creating a swirling, tumbling plasma that is hotter than the surface of the Sun, and finding ways to control and confine the plasma will be key to unlocking the potential of nuclear fusion. On 16 February 2022, the famous international journal Nature published the magnetic control of tokamak plasmas through deep reinforcement learning, and the results promoted the development of controllable nuclear fusion. Although there is still a long way to go, once the controllable nuclear fusion succeeds, mankind will enter the next energy era. Especially the miniaturization of controlled nuclear fusion, small aircraft, spacework, travel will not be a dream. These will all be realized by 2050.